Great, let's get started. First, I'm super excited to welcome everyone to our child-friendly webinar. I'm Wayne, and I'll be hosting this session. Today, our guest speaker will be our founder, Laura Bancroft. Awesome, so let's take a look at the agenda for today. Great, so first, I will introduce Laura, then I will pass it to her to present an overview of our platform. Then she'll provide a demo of our new and exciting learning module. And then we'll wrap up with what's coming in the new year. Then we'll have a Q&A at the end. If you look at the top of your screen, you'll see an icon that's labeled Q&A. You can simply click this icon and type and submit your questions at the end of the webinar. Great. So let's start with an introduction to Laura. So first, she has significant experience in the childcare industry. She's overcame the challenges of scaling, growth, regulations, as she grew from overseeing 100 to now over 3,000 childcare spaces. She has led the design of Child-Friendly from start to finish, building practical and relevant solutions for daycare operators to streamline operations and manage licensing needs. So for some quick fun facts, she's a mother of 11 children, enjoys listening to audiobooks and exploring the great outdoors. I will now pass it to Laura to present Child-Friendly and our new learning module. Thank you.
Hi, Wayne, or thank you, Wayne, I mean. Hi, everybody. I appreciate you coming out today. We are really excited to share our learning module here. Before I get into the learning module, just real briefly, I wanted to talk a little bit about why we started Child-Friendly. As Wayne had mentioned, I'm actually a childcare operator, still a childcare operator myself. I started, I don't know, maybe 12 years ago or so in the industry, maybe more, maybe 15 or so, with 100 child center. I now have over 3,000 children across the province of Alberta licensed spaces. And as we were growing as an operator, it became very clear to me as I was using different software systems and so on, that there was nothing that was truly designed by operators. A lot of good intentions, a lot of kind of neat features, but not fully thought through in terms of what we really need as an operators to make things more efficient, to get our educators in the room so that they can spend the time with their children, with our children, as opposed to doing as much admin work. We're just getting, and it's getting worse and worse in terms of the amount of administrative work in this industry, and software was the solution. So after using a couple of different common softwares out there for childcare, and then also demoing many different ones, and even piloting a few at our centers, we realized that we really needed to create our own software if we were going to be able to grow our daycare centers like we had ambitions to do. So that is kind of where Child-Friendly was born. I was able to partner. My brother actually happens to be my partner, and he is in the development industry, or the tech industry, if you will. And so we were able to, between him and my industry experts in childcare, we were able to start Child-Friendly and go down this path. So we're really excited today to share our newest module, or our newest feature that we've added to the Child-Friendly platform. For those of you that are new here that aren't as familiar with Child-Friendly, it is, as mentioned, a childcare management software, and it really does everything. It does registration, it does billing and finance. That one's been a game changer for us. You can imagine trying to collect 3,000 payments from parents, and how streamlined that really does need to be to make sure cash flow is in on time and so on. Attendance, regulation management, staff management, it does all of it. Communication with parents and so on. But today we really want to focus in on this exciting learning module that we have announced. So the learning module, a little bit of why we decided to create this, what we call the learning module, is I don't know how you as operators feel, but I can tell you how I feel, because we don't have this yet at our centers either. So this is really exciting. We'll be implementing it at our centers as well. But one of the big frustrations that we have is that we as operators, and you as operators, have frankly fantastic education programs. We work really hard. We care about the children. Our ECs are amazing. The things they plan are incredible. But parents don't really see the behind the scenes. They do, you get the conversation at the beginning, at the end of the day, You get, if you have a software like ChildFriendly, you get journal entries, which does help a lot so that you can share photos and different updates throughout the day. So that's a big help. But they still don't really see the real effort that's going in terms of the planning that's happening. A lot of centers like ourselves give program planning time to the educators so that they can really plan out based on the curriculum you have in your center what the different lessons are going to be, what they focus on. Then we do the progress reports and all the different things that, again, that parents don't really see, or if they do see it, it's kind of a piece of paper that gets put up on the parent board. A planning sheet doesn't look very professional. It isn't really showcasing the true value that you are bringing every day for their children and the amount of work and planning and educating that you are doing as operators. And so why is it important that parents see this? Well, number one is enrollment isn't always easy, and we need to make sure that not only is our education program good quality, but that parents are seeing it so that we can stay full, so that we are the top talked about daycare when they're talking with their friends. They can whip out their phone and say, wow, look what our daycare plans, like just as an example, here's Tuesday, and look at all the different activities that they are planning on doing on Tuesday and how it relates to the different outcome. Like they'll just be blown away by what we already do, and now it's time to showcase what we're doing. And if you don't already do it, it's a great way to increase that quality of learning in your center so that you can set yourself apart from others and be at the top, so that you're the parent's first choice. So that's a little bit on the why. Another part of it is just to make, again, less time for your educators spending doing administration and filling out paperwork and more time in the classroom. So it gives, the learning module is going to give your educators those tools that they need to really, not just professionally, but efficiently plan out their week, plan their lessons, make sure it's all tied to the curriculum outcomes for whatever curriculum you use in your center, and just really streamline that whole process for them to give them those tools so that you can have those quality expectations of them as well. And then last, this goes along with the parent part that I mentioned earlier, is progress reports. So you want to make sure that the children are progressing in whatever your curriculum outcomes are. And in order to know if they're progressing, you really do need to track that. And again, you need to showcase it with parents so they can see the progress themselves and make sure that communication is really streamlined. And again, set yourself apart so they can see you not as babysitters, but as educators. And when you can turn that corner, that's really when that quality and that bar stays high and your program is going to stay full and the much talked about program. So I am going to stop sharing this screen. So just give me one moment here. And I'm going to switch to what you've all been waiting for and to actually give you a sneak peek into the actual learning module. So I am going to start I'm going to start showing you a room staff's view of our learning module. Oh, and I did forget to mention our learning module will be released so that if you are a child-friendly user, you're going to be able to see this in your platform, and it's going to be released on January 1st. So you can plan accordingly with that. I'm sure that's what you want to do over Christmas, is get all ready to plan out the learning module. So this is our child-friendly platform room staff view. Room staff only have access to a few features, unlike administrative staff. And one of those features is going to be a little icon on the left here called Learn, which is the learning module. So in this room staff view, I want to start with lessons. So this toggle or this tab right here called Lessons. If we click into the lesson section, you're going to see three tabs here: My Lessons, Organization Lessons, and Marketplace Lessons. So each room staff, when they log in, under My Lessons, that is essentially all the lessons that they have created. So they can create, and this is just stored for them, so nobody else sees this. They can edit, they can play around, they can make as many lessons as they want. It's like their lesson library, their personal lesson library. So if they want to create a lesson, they can go here and toggle, or just click this button to create a new one. It saves in here. They can filter lessons if they want to see, oh, I want to see all the ones in certain learning outcomes, or I want to see the ones I've created for the 2 to 3 year olds, or whatever the case is that they can filter for, and so on. So that's essentially the place where they do that. If I'm just as an example, I can click into here if I want to edit a lesson. You can see here, I can edit the names, I can edit the description, the full details here, the appropriate ages it's for, any core learning focuses like math or whatever it is. Discovery topics, if you do themes like Arctic animals or whatever, you can put in a discovery topic. The learning outcome, how it ties to your curriculum. I should mention here that discovery topics and learning outcomes are completely customizable. There's a setup section in the learning module, which I'll show you later, that administration can set up and choose all the different discovery topics or themes that you guys do in your center, as well as your entire curriculum. We preload the Alberta Flight curriculum. If I click add outcome, you should recognize all these. This is from Alberta Flight. That's preloaded. We have a Montessori one preloaded as well, or you can custom make your own curriculum. It's completely up to you. They can attach files. They can say what materials are needed for this lesson and so on. That's just a little bit on the editing. So one important point here is they also, as they go through, let's say a room staff has a lesson ready to go and they're happy with it, they can request approval. So when they click this button, request approval, you'll see it now has a little pending tag on it right here. So that means that it's gone off to administration to approve that lesson. So they've added in all the details and administration can now approve it. I'll show you that process and the why behind that in a minute, but that's what that is. Now let's jump over to the marketplace lessons here. So marketplace lessons, these ones are everything that we as Child Friendly, it's a resource library that we provide you at no extra charge. I think there's over 2,000 different lessons already, and we're adding more every day for different age groups, different topics, all sorts of different things. But it's just a library of resources so that instead of starting from scratch, if your staff want to look up and see, let's find a math, they can filter here, let's find a whatever, science and discovery lesson, and I want it to be appropriate for a 12-month to 24-month-old. So here's all science discovery for that age and so on. So they can click in here, look at lessons they like. If they like a lesson, they can just click it and they can copy it to their lesson. So it basically just duplicates the exact lesson. They can copy it rather than retyping it all and making their own. And now it's going to show up in their My Lessons tab right here. So that's a nice handy resource for them to just save time, and we'll just keep adding more to that as time goes on. I'm just going to get rid of these filters real quick. Then so as I mentioned, this is their My Lessons is where you can see all the different lessons, and you can see some of them are pending for approval. So let's talk about that for a minute. Once a lesson is approved by administration, it actually will show up in this tab here called Organization tab, Organization Lessons. So if I click in here, it's only going to show lessons that have been certified by admin, so approved by administration. That way, your staff can actually share lessons between them, and they're not reinventing the wheel. So this was a big deal for us because we have so many ECEs that do a fantastic job. They plan an incredible lesson, and then it's just gone. All that work, all that planning is gone. It's archived in a binder or whatever system, and then we don't reuse that lesson necessarily the next year when it's all new kids, or we don't, other staff in other rooms don't use it unless they're actually going and talking to each other and, handing over the paper and the different things that they did for their planning. So this was a big deal, so that when a lesson plan is great and it's certified, then it's going to show up in this organization view. Over time, you're going to get so many lessons from your organization. They've all been certified, so the quality is there. And what a resource, in addition to the marketplace, what a resource for your ECEs to be able to learn from each other and use each other's lessons that have been created over time within your organization. So that's what this is. Again, they can click here, they just duplicate here to their lessons, and then they can edit it if they want to make some tweaks and so on. So that's a little bit on the actual just planning an individual lesson. So now we want to talk about plans. Here is the Plans tab. Now, what are plans? Plans are essentially the week plan. What are you going to do that week? This is what gets shared with parents, is your actual weekly plan. So what we do at our centers currently is we have a large it's essentially a template that we make in Excel. And they fill in. So we'll have different areas like what are you doing for sensory, what are you doing for gross motor, and so on. And each day of the week, and the staff fill it in like that. And then we essentially paste that to the parent board. Doesn't look very professional, not really pretty, and really doesn't tie. It doesn't. We have little spots where they're supposed to tie into the outcomes, but it's not convenient to tie in outcomes, and so on. So that's kind of the paper system, if you will. That's often typical in a center. In this case, we've digitized that process and made it not only beautiful for parents to view, but much more streamlined for staff as well, and really increased the bar on the quality here. So in the lesson plans here, sorry, I should call them weekly plans, there's a couple features. One, which I really like, is you can have pre-made templates. So as administrator, you can create a bunch of templates if you want, so they're not starting fresh every single time with a blank plan. So I've created, for instance, this toddler, preschool, pre-K template, just as an example for today. So as a ECE, I could go in, I can filter, I can find my template, and then I can say, okay, I'm gonna copy this template. So I'm gonna copy here. And now I'm going to put what day of the week. So I'm making this plan for, I can pick a future day or a calendar specific day here, or I can just say these kind of quick shortcuts. I want to say December 21st. So I'm going to make this for December 21st. My group is the, let's say we're the Ladybugs group. And I'm going, this week we have a different theme every week or month or whatnot. So let's say we're going to do snow and ice is our theme. And again, the discovery topics are completely customizable in your setup. And then the space, well, I'm a Ladybugs staff, so I'll pick that. I'm going to clone. So I've cloned the template, and this is my template. So it's already ready to go for me. I just need to now fill in the details that I'm planning. So I can click this little edit button. And you can see here, I can fill in all the details. So this top part is you can put in a cover image. So if I'm doing the theme snow and ice, it's going to look pretty if I just put something that has snow in it. And there's a bunch of preloaded photos here that you can pick from, or you can upload your own in there as well. I want to change the name. I'm going to say, I can't remember what room I did, Ladybugs, a Ladybug plan. It's the week of December 21st. It won't let me share it with families until it's certified, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then I scroll down. And I can say, okay, during the morning gathering, again, these are customizable too in your setup. You can pick from any routines you want, but during the morning gathering, what activities am I going to be doing? So this is a template I made. So I had morning gathering, and we're going to be doing a daily story and discussion, as well as an academic concept intro and review. So those are the two activities we're doing during that time. So now I can click into each of these as a staff, and it's kind of depends on how you want to set it up as a center, but this is just an example that I've set up where I'm going to have my staff fill in the book that they're going to be reading, what their discussion topic is. If you want to be specific on time of the day, like what your schedule is, you can, or you can leave that blank, where it's happening. If you want to attach any learning outcomes to a specific activity, you can. So I can say add outcome and pick whichever one I want, or multiple if I want. So that's an outcome we're going to do. If I want to add materials and so on. If I also actually want to associate a specific lesson, the lessons are a lot more detailed with this activity. Sometimes you might want to actually pick a specific lesson that goes with the activity, or sometimes the activities are very simple, and so you're not going to have a whole lesson plan or a whole lesson created, and you just update the activity and leave this blank. But in this case, let's say I do want to pick a specific lesson that I've created already and associated with. I can browse, I can filter for it, I can find whatever it is. I know this doesn't match my snow theme, but we're just going to pretend that's the lesson. And I press update the activity. So now that activity has been updated. I, as a staff, can go through and do that for whichever activities I want, however you guys want to set it up, and whatever you guys want to have showcased to your parents and specifically planned out for that week. You can add other routines here. You can plus sign. Maybe I want to put some details on lunchtime or whatnot, or I don't want to get that detailed and just specifically stick to what we're doing for music, what we're doing for art, and so on. however you want to do it. Then when you're ready, when your staff has spent their planning time and they've got everything ready for the following week or the week after or whatnot, they can submit and request approval. So this is going to submit this plan for that week off to your administrator, who can then review all the different plans, check that quality control, and so on, and approve it. Once it's approved, it can be shared with parents. I won't let you share it with parents until administration has approved it. So let's say we're going to submit that for approval. I can do that. And now it's gone off to administration. So I'm going to actually flip my screen or stop sharing this screen, and I'm going to go over to administration view just to show you that view. So give me 1 second here. All right, so this I'm logged in as an administrator's view right now. And we've already talked about lessons, we've already talked about plans, and then you can see here is the dashboard section here. So as an administrator, this is your go-to dashboard in the learning module where you're going to see everything that's waiting and ready for your approval. So first section here, I can see that we've got the raccoons. There's only one approved lesson or weekly plan right now in all my groups. So that would be obviously a concern. If I was an administrator, I'd want to see that everybody had an approved plan happening right now because it's the current week. But if I want to look to the next week, I can see raccoons has submitted theirs. It's waiting for approval. And this one, I can see ladybugs and whales have both submitted theirs, waiting for approval. So I can kind of click into there and do it that way. So that's one view. Here's another view where this just shows all the plans listed that are waiting for approval. So you can go through each one. Let's say I want to look at the ladybugs plan. I can see it. I can say, okay, what are they doing this week? I can click into any of these. I can see the details of the plan and so on. If I'm happy with everything, I can click certify, and then that approves this plan for the week and we can share it with parents. Or I can click reject and it gives a pop-up for feedback, and you can put in the feedback. It goes back to the staff for them to make the tweaks or whatnot, and then they can send it for recertification. So let's say I certify that. Then that plan you can see disappeared from the weekly plans, and now parents will be able to view it. Lesson pending approvals here. So these are the plans. This is actual lessons that have been created in the various libraries of the individuals that are waiting for that quality control, making sure that it's approved so that it can go into the organization library so other ECEs can use it, and so that the person submitting it can actually utilize it in their weekly plans and so on. Again, this is really important to keep that quality high and have some oversight on your staff, or to know where maybe a little more training is needed. If you're able to see these at a glance and really easily, you can see usually different patterns, certain staff that maybe are struggling a little bit, their lessons aren't that great, they're not really hitting the mark on the curriculum and so on. And so now you know you need to do some work with them. And some additional training. So again, really increase that bar and make sure we're doing this for the kids and getting them that quality that they deserve and that we're all passionate about giving. So here I can click into any of these lessons that are pending approval. Again, I can see all the different details. I can reject or I can approve it, certify it, and so on, and then it'll disappear. All right, so that's a little bit on the plans and the lessons. I now want to share with you the report feature. So if I go into this tab, report, it's pretty simple. There's just really these 3 different reports that are available. The first one I'll just briefly touch on is it's pretty straightforward. It's just a shopping list. So essentially all of the lesson plans and your weekly plans. If you remember, I said there was materials there where you could say how many per child were needed and put in whatever materials you wanted. Those will all show up in the shopping list for whatever week. And then you can go through your stock, see what you need to buy, and it just generates a shopping list for you by group so that you know who to deliver it to and so on. So just a really nice, convenient administrative feature to make it a lot easier than submitting papers to, here's what I need this week, and then you gather all your papers and you're trying to kind of organize it. It just does it for you. So let's actually focus here on the progress reports and the focus area reports. So the progress report, this is really more of that specific outcome, like a report card, academic report. So let's look at a group view as an example, and we'll pick the raccoons. So I picked my raccoons group. There's 10 students enrolled in this group, and you can see on the left side is all of the learning outcomes all the way to the most granular level. So the very, very bottom final outcome. Again, these are all from the Alberta Flight curriculum. This I will show you at the end is completely customizable. You can upload your own curriculum. You can use a Montessori curriculum, whatever you want. But yeah, so here's all of your outcomes. And then across here, you can see you have all of your kids listed. And in here, as a teacher, you can come into your group, and throughout the year, you don't have to do it at specific times, or you can do it at specific times of the year. But however you want to organize it, you can come in here and give them assessments. So if you're going through with Allison and you know you're wanting to assess this outcome, I can click in here and I can add assessment, and you can see the date will default to today's date, to the day you're doing the assessment. You can say how she's doing. So is she emergent, developing, mastering? This is the growth indicator or the rubrics. Again, this is customizable and set up. We've just have this pre-loaded, but you can make it whatever you want, however you track your children. Let's say I think she's developing. I can put in my little notes here, whatever I want, and then I can press submit. So now you can see that on December 10th, an assessment was done on that learning outcome for her. And that's just essentially basically what the staff would do. They just come in here and do that for all the kids during report card time or throughout the year, however you guys want to do it. Then there's a certification option. So right now, the parents cannot see this assessment. They can't view that because it hasn't been certified yet. Once it is certified by administration, then it will be viewable by parents through the parent app. So normally, if I was a room, I'm in the administrative view right now. As a room staff, I would not be able to see this certify button. But as an administrator, I can see the certify button. So I can go again to my dashboard. I can see, oh, there's a bunch of assessments here that are pending that I need to certify. I can click them that way if I want on an individual basis, and I can click certify to certify the assessments that were done, look through it, make sure I'm happy with the notes or whatever it is. Or I can do it at that group level that I was just showing you, where I actually go into the report at the group view, and I can just do it if it's report card time and I'm doing a whole bunch of them at once. I can go in here and I can just certify, click this, and it'll bulk certify everything. If I really wanted to, I could go one at a time and certify them one at a time if I want to really dig into detail. It's completely up to you how you want to do it. But it does give you a little bit of administrative oversight. Just again, make sure that those assessments are good and make sure they're not missing any kids and that they're all being filled out. So that's the progress report. It can be viewed on an individual basis or a group basis. Then there's the focus area report. This one is available at all times for parents to view and for staff to view. It just automatically fills out. It doesn't require any input from staff. I apologize, we don't really, for the demo, we don't have any data in here yet, but how it works is the focus areas, again, these are all based on the curriculum, so they're automatically populated from that curriculum. And essentially, anytime that you either have a journal entry, so one of the new features we have is for journal entries as of January 1st, you will be able to tag learning outcomes to a journal entry. So let's say you took a picture of a great activity they did, you can tag a learning outcome from the curriculum in that journal when you send it out to parents. And then that will, whenever you do that, whatever kids receive that journal, if that tag, let's say, fell under the category of democratic practices, then they would get a little number here showing 1. So they got 1 tag, meaning you taught it at some point one time, or it was touched on one time with the kids. And let's say you do a lesson, there's a lesson plan that you have in your certified plan that also has this curriculum outcome tagged in it, then that would be a second one. So now they show 2 if they were in attendance that day. And that'll all automatically happen. This isn't something anybody manually does. It just automatically fills out this report. And it's a great way to see over time, especially For your staff and you as an administrator in terms of quality control, you can come in here and see your curriculum, all kind of the headers. It's not all the way down to the outcome letter, but level, but it's the kind of next level up. And you can see, oh man, we're not spending enough time on physical health as we should be. There's only, you can put in your date range and you can say it's only been touched on for these kids like 20 times, and it should have been however many times. And so you can kind of get a feel where your imbalances and maybe where you need to focus a little bit more on the planning, both as an educator going in here to view it or as an administrator for your own quality control. Another great thing is the parents, again, they can see this and they can see how much learning is happening. If you've got, I don't know which one you want to do, I don't know, sense of belonging. I'm used to Montessori, so I'm looking for Montessori outcomes. But anyway, a sense of belonging, and you're like, oh yeah, they do a lot of that. There's like in the last month, there's been 40 different times where that has been not formally, but in some way taught in the classroom through a lesson plan or activity or whatnot. They can see that the amount of education that their child's getting. So it's just another really good bragging way to showcase what's happening in the classroom, as well as a good way for you to check in on what's happening also in terms of your curriculum and reporting. So I now just want, before I'm going to show you the parent view in a minute, because I want you to see what they see, as that's obviously a really important aspect of this. But real quickly, I'm going to show you the setup that I've mentioned a few times. So I've mentioned a few times that your curriculum is completely customizable. And there's some other custom elements as well. So that's, as an administrator, you're going to see that all up here under the setup tab. So under setup, you'll have curriculum here. You can add additional curriculums, but you can see here, I've got the Alberta Flight curriculum all preloaded. And if I expand this, I can see here's that play and playfulness domain. I can look under, here's the next subdomain, imagination and creativity. And then below that, there's the final outcomes here. That in this all corresponds identically to that Alberta Flight curriculum. So maybe you use a different curriculum or you use that as well as another curriculum. You can have multiple curriculums as well and just filter accordingly. But here's the little plus sign. And you can make your own curriculum. So I'm just going to say test here. And I'm going to submit. So I'm going to create my own curriculum here. And now I can create however many domains that I want. So you can put in whatever your category, domain 1 is, and then your description, and so on. And then you can do, under this domain, you can click all your focus areas, give them an icon, color, sure, submit. And then finally, the final level within the curriculum is the learning outcomes. So different curriculums call these domains and so on different names, but essentially it's all the same thing. So that's the kind of the level you with your curriculum, and you can make as many domains and things as you want. So it really does work essentially for every curriculum out there, more or less. Or you can upload, right here, there is the Alberta Flight curriculum. You can copy that like I have, or there's going to be a Montessori one loaded in here right away too. And if you're in a different province, again, we are just in Alberta right now, but we are expanding to the rest of Canada in 2026, and there will be other provincial curriculums in there available for you to choose from as well. The other thing you can customize is your custom elements here. So I've mentioned a few times that you could customize these as I was doing my presentation today. Growth indicators, basically your rubrics, you can delete these, you can custom those however you want. Your discovery topics, so whatever themes you do, if that's what you do in your center, you can put whatever themes you want here for your staff to be able to choose from. And routines, that was in that plan, where you could say your morning routine, what are you going to do during your whatever time, your drop off and morning routine time or whatnot. Those are all completely customizable depending on how you guys do your schedule and how you do your day-to-day planning. So that's a really nice component that you're not kind of stuck with our preloaded items. You can do whatever you want. All right, let's jump now. I'm going to stop sharing this screen and I'm going to jump back to the parent view here. Okay, so right now I've got just a sample, a demo parent portal open, their main home screen on their parent app. If I jump over to the menu here, you can see there's this learning section that will be available as of January 1st that they'll be able to see. And you can see the different things we talked about: plan, focus area, progress. So let's jump into the plans. In the plans, you can see that if they were looking today, they can scroll down and see exactly, this is the plan that's been approved already. That's why it's showing up. And you can see exactly what is happening in your raccoons group throughout the day. So this would be all filled out by the staff. I wanted to show you one that has an actual lesson attached. Oh, here's one. So when they get to the loose parts and creative building, you can even see here's a bunch of outcomes that have actually been attached to this one, and I can even view and see the lesson and so on. So you can really showcase the kind of quality education that you're doing and exactly what they're doing every day, in addition to, of course, your journals, which is more personal and individual, where you're actually sending a picture of their child and there's that specific side of it. This is what the class is doing, kind of thing. Then we can show you, I can show you next what those focus area looks like here. Again, nothing's filled out with the data here, but normally this would show you based on the date range, however many times they've been tagged in the different curriculum areas, but that's what that looks like. So they can always see what's going on there. And then the last one is their progress reports. So again, Alberta Flight Curriculum here as the sample today, and they can scroll through and see that the last assessment that they were given on December 8th was this one. I can see the notes that the teacher gave on that outcome and so on. So I can scroll through and see exactly how my child's doing in the different areas. All right, I think that essentially wraps up the demo part of our presentation, or my presentation today. I'm just going to jump now back one more time. A lot of flipping screens here. Getting pretty good at this. To this presentation. All right, so we already talked about that. Next in the agenda was a brief look to the future with Child Friendly. I wanted to give you just an overview of where we're going, some of the modules and the new features we're developing. So really important at Child Friendly for us is to always stay ahead and always be adding more, so that over time we become that much more comprehensive. And being in the industry myself and active in the industry as an active operator, it's very nice because I can always see what's new, how we can improve, what are some more efficient systems that we could put in that operators would love to have, and so on. So some of the things that we will be doing in 2026 that we are going to be launching is our forms and integrated payments. So we already, of course, have the billing and payments module for tuition and for one-off custom invoices and things like that, which is, that's probably one of my favorite modules as a owner of a daycare center. But we are also going to be doing a forms, kind of like a Google form, if you will, if you're familiar with those, integrated into our system, so you can customize it, ask any information. This is outside of the regular registration process. This is kind of a one-off custom thing. So if you want to do a field trip or something like that, and you want to send a digitized form that they digitally sign off for that specific field trip, it's not your general registration sign-offs. Then you could do that, and it'll have a payment option attached if you're wanting to collect a field trip payment or something like that. So, or survey, or I mean, there's different things you can use forms for. So that's coming out. Digital checklists. I'm really excited about this one because I think it's pretty much our last, between this and the learning module, this is our last paper system within our operation. So I always joke that we got rid of all of our filing cabinets, and it's true, they're all full of toys now, but we really got rid of all of our filing cabinets when we implemented Child Friendly a couple years ago into our daycares. But the only paper systems that are still around are those planning that our staff do, as well as checklists. And so checklists are coming soon, all those cleaning I mean, there's checklists for checklists in daycare, we all know that. But those are coming soon, so that'll be completely digitized as well. Then we've got our onboarding AI. So if you're not currently set up with ChildFriendly or using ChildFriendly, we have an AI onboarding wizard that is just really going to streamline the whole setup process so that you can get up and running in no time. It's already pretty good. You get a personalized onboarder that helps you through setting up and getting all your data uploaded and so on. But this will just make it so that you could be up in honestly a day with this. It's pretty incredible actually what technology can do. So we're really excited about that. That will be implementing that. That one's going to be the quickest, probably, I'm guessing by the end of January for that one. So that one's exciting. And then last, we've got NECPA. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with NECPA, but it's an accreditation, a huge accreditation body in the States, one of the largest ones. And they have partnered with ACE here in Canada, and they are coming to Canada to basically be an accreditation body here. And so we are designing in that partnership with them a module that's going to really streamline the tracking, the reporting to them. If you decide that you want to get accredited through NECPA to showcase your quality and so on, a lot of early childhood operators are doing this, and they're already starting the process as soon as it's released here and have committed to do it. Anyway, it's a module that's going to really streamline that whole process for you to track everything, all of your professional development tracking for your staff, just everything. It's going to be tracked through there, and so that you can literally click a button and have everything you need to send to NECPA all organized, and it just sends them a link so that they can then do their part of the assessment. And then the annual reports as well, because you have to do an annual report with them as well. So that will all be streamlined. So really excited about that as well. So that's kind of what's coming up for 2026. And then, of course, there's lots of little features throughout the year that we'll release as well. But those are the big ones. All right, let's go into Q&A. So Wayne, I'll have you take it away, and you can let me know whichever questions.
Great, thank you. So we'll now get to the Q&A portion of the webinar. So if you guys will refer to the top of the screen, there's a Q&A icon. Feel free to leave any questions you might have. If we don't get to it today, then we'll follow up with an email as well and reach out with answers after the presentation. Okay, I see just one question here so far. How many minutes or hours of planning do educators get per week? I'm not too sure what that means, but
sure. Yeah. I mean, it depends on every center is different. So some centers will give maybe 2 hours a week to their educators, where they call it prep time, and allow their educators to plan. It's just totally up to your center. There's no regulated planning time in terms of the government regulating how much planning time there is. So that is a personal corporate decision.
Thank you. Did you want to add on to that as well, or okay. That seems to be the only question. Does anyone else have any questions they might want to add? Maybe we'll give it another minute or two here, then we'll wrap up.
While we're waiting, if anybody is interested in having a demo, we can do a personal demo. You can just go on our website to book that demo time through a calendar link, and you can go through the whole child-friendly portal, platform, everything, whatever interests you, and we can really customize it to what your operations are.
So I have one more question. Are there any fees once you subscribe?
For child-friendly. So with child-friendly, we are essentially, you get the whole platform for free. There's no what do you call it, subscription fee at all. The only fee you pay is with our pro version, which is essentially adding on the payments portion. So if you actually do process EFTs through the bank to collect payments from your parents, there is a merchant fee on those payments. So it's a 1% merchant fee on any payments you process through the bank. That's through PAD. So that's essentially our fees. Though the neat thing though with child-friendly is, unlike so many systems out there where there's a merchant fee attached to a payment processing, ours can be completely passed on to the parents. There's a setting if you want to have parents pay that fee instead of you paying that fee. then it's just added to their invoice. That portion goes to Child Friendly, the rest goes to you, so that you're actually using the entire software for free. So that's what most centers do, is they just pass it on to the families. And as long as you're giving families other options like e-transfer or whatever other payment options you allow, we are finding that parents frankly prefer to pay through the EFT, through automatic payments. It's just more convenient for them. And so they don't seem to mind that extra 1%, so long as they have that convenience. And then it's free. There's nothing to you, no cost.
I think this one's an add-on. Sorry, I think this one's an add-on to the previous question. Is Tamara, I think, are you currently a user? If the sliding scale is given to parents, is there any fee for centers? So yeah, as Laura was kind of mentioning, if you do decide to drag the pass-through fee to the full amount for the pre-authorized debit, there won't be any fees for the centers.
No. Yeah, we're a merchant fee only. It's like the Shopify model. Shopify gets all of their income from their merchant fee that they charge. That's how Child Friendly gets its revenue. So there's no other fees, I promise. That's it, just the merchant fee.
Great. I think that should be all the questions for today. If you guys do think of any after this webinar, feel free to drop a message with us in the live chat, send us an email. Yeah, contact us at any time if you have any questions. Thank you so much again for your time today, Laura. Great. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Bye.